Well, look, the truth of the matter is that I know a lot about a lot of different nonprofits. I'm one person, and each one, will have a certain, what's that term they use, wheelhouse of what they provide. And in order to make that wheelhouse be a very big thing, like a big wagon wheel with a lot of spokes, it's almost impossible because the amount of volunteers, the amount of people, in order to do it well, you usually have to select one thing. So I'm thinking with this whole quote unquote homelessness issue, you have one that can feed, but that isn't going to solve the problem of homelessness because the problem of homelessness is like that wagon wheel. It has so many different aspects. So forming a coalition, honestly, hats off to you. That was brilliant.
Well, it was by design, as I said earlier, and the intent was to look at the strengths and the resources in the community for those that are already serving the homeless. And in most cases, the calling word was they were sustaining homelessness. And they were providing all types of services, tremendous outreach. You mentioned feeding. There were other things that they were doing as well, providing support. Some were looking for them to help get jobs and things like this. So when we brought the coalition together, one of the criteria was that you were already embedded in the homelessness in some way. And whatever your capacity was, that was going to contribute to the whole of the group.
Right.
And to make it we were going to connect the dots. We were going to bring the different resources together in a coordinated way to make a transition from what was happening independently to work together.
Beautiful.
And so we brought everyone together, and we have 7 founding groups that are part of the coalition. I'd like to recognize them because I think they all have special resources and commitment to the service is as selfless as it can be. These are tremendous individuals, and their organizations are doing tremendous work. So the one of the first groups is the Refuge Church. It's a church dedicated to the homeless. The congregation is the homeless, and its focus is to provide support to those folks. They have what they call themselves as an extended family. So the homeless are perceived as a safe place to be, and a place to get guidance and support and food during the day. Because they have pre-existing relationships with the homeless, the folks that run the refuge, the Powers, Sean and Michelle Powers, are making major contributions to our organization as we look at potential tenants. Which tenants are prepared, which are ready to make a transition from homelessness to be in a permanent housing situation. And the guidance in the intake process has helped facilitate bringing people together that are actually going to be roommates. You can move to the Peace Memorial Presbyterian Church. This is another organization that had been dedicated to its outreach, providing meals to the homeless, as well as shelters when it became extremely cold and the extreme weather. So again, they were helpful in the intake. They were helpful with understanding who the potential people were, because we're talking about 70 to 90 chronic homeless here in downtown Clearwater being the outreach target. And so their focus, though, as a congregation, was to look at themselves and say, how can we do more? What can we do to reduce homelessness? So they were in a transition themselves with what they were doing for their mission and service. At the same time, we were talking about
our look at that.
So it just fell as an opportunity that we wanted to bring them in because of their resources and their connection and their commitment. So Pastor Bob Scott and Pastor Don Hager are leading the charge, and they've taken it upon themselves to look at the mentor role in particular, the guidance and the support role and the capacity, and try to get some of their members of their church to come alongside the tenants after they have moved in. So it's not that you just come off the street and you move in and then you're abandoned. We're trying to figure out ways that we can, as a community, wrap ourselves around the tenants and support them as they transition, to help them with their health issues or whatever their needs might be.
Sure.
So this counseling mentoring piece is critical, we think, for the sustainability of the tenants being involved in the.
Well, look, they don't end up. People don't end up in a harm's way or allowing themselves to live in improper conditions unless there are other issues. So it would be foolish to not know that there are things that need to be not tackled but worked on a constant basis.
Well, we think it's a pillar to our design, is to have this ongoing support. So they get the support on the front end, and they get it in as after they move in, and it's ongoing. And there's a trust and a relationship that we're trying to build. We have St. Vincent de Paul, and it's a community kitchen and resource center. Another destination in Clearwater for the homeless and for the needy who are looking to get food, especially for breakfast. They are serving breakfast every day to the most needy in our community. They have a tremendous commitment and outreach, and another network that is very compatible to the others that I just mentioned. They have looked at a particular need, which is the job aspect, the job training aspect, and trying to find employment for homeless. And so
I did not know. I knew about the feeding, but I did not know that. So thank you for telling
So they're
me.
looking at their resource center as becoming a hub, if you will, for training and getting hands-on training in actually maybe employment. It's in the works right now. They just helped support the first class of homeless that went through a specific job training program for 4 weeks. And now this will be an ongoing deal. And as the folks come out of graduation, I think there were 7 that graduated this past month. After they come out, now we're looking at trying to find a housing situation for them. So that'll be kind of a natural progression of the flow in which people will go from where they are to looking at getting support for their future and their jobs, and something that can help them sustain themselves financially for those that aren't on disability or whatever might be the case. And this is the St. Vincent de Paul Community Kitchen and Resource Center helping out. I'm not going to leave out the rest of them because everybody is a player here. We have the Church of Scientology, who is embedded in the community through its community coalition themselves, with
the charity coalition,
a whole charity. I don't know how many members of that are in that coalition, but it's extensive. And it's a broad network. They have a community center devoted to the Clearwater area. So their resources are varied, and in particular, they're helping us document and promote and let the public be aware of what we're doing. You'll come onto our new webpage that has been developed at goinghomeclearwater.org, and what you'll find there is a video that was produced through the help of the Church of Scientology. And I think when you go through that 5 to 8 minute video, you'll see it have the message points that will, I believe, impact anyone who views it. And that's just a small example of the type of resources.
It's a very good video. I've seen it.
It helps bring awareness to what this project's about and amplify it. And again, that's what the Church of Scientology has helped us do. We have Trinity Presbyterian and Peace Cafe and the Joy of Gospel Ministries. These are 2 other affiliated church organizations that are embedded in the feeding process, and again, helping us with the various components that I mentioned earlier. In particular, the Joy of Gospel Ministries has a focus of trying to find resources for the homeless that are here in Clearwater that might enable them with enough funds to buy a ticket to go on a plane back home, or a bus ride, or a train. So when we say Going Home Clearwater, there's 2 pieces to it. One is to get into permanent housing. The other is perhaps to get reconnected with a caregiver or family member somewhere else.
That is really